Hey there folks, how's it going? It's Not So Livid. It's been a bit. I don't think I've recorded anything in 6.5 months. I think the last time I recorded something was mid-March for March Madness. I haven't done like a life check-in talky talk video for a very, very long time. And I would like to do one because of something that happened a few days ago. But it's something I can't particularly go into a great deal of detail on due to contractual things. But there's also other things that I can just talk about too, and I would like to talk about. So we're gonna start with the thing I can't talk a lot about, and we'll talk about the other stuff. So this story starts last spring, so spring of 2022. I graduated from college the year prior, so spring 2021. Was having like a heck of a time trying to find a job. I had like part-time stuff that I was doing, so it wasn't like terrible, but getting like a full-time job was not going great. So now fast forward a year, spring 2022, good friend, sorry, I was thinking about whether or not I should say his name. It's fine. Good friend of mine, Marc, reached out and was like, hey, I'm working at this company in California. They've got some remote work options because I'm not in California. I'm in Ohio, which is not California, almost the literal opposite side of the country. And he at this point is in like a managerial-ish, high-ish up position. I don't know exactly where he would fall in the ladder of company structure. He's in a position where he has like some pull and could help me get a job there. At first I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait. I'll get back to you in like a little bit because I had something that had potential of working out at the time. It did not work out. So then I reached out to him a bit later and was like, hey, does the offer still stand? And he was like, we're in a weird spot right now. A position should open up soon-ish because we're trying to sort of expand as a company. And I was like, okay, cool. Hit me up whenever the time may be. And then a few more months pass. But then he reaches back out and he's like, hey, okay, now we have positions opening. And I don't really, like, I literally just don't know how much detail I'm allowed to go into, so I'm going to go into like as little detail as possible. So I'm not even gonna like explain the positions or anything or what the company does or any of that. I'm just gonna leave it super vague to err on the side of caution. But yeah, a position opened up. I did like interview with their internal recruiting person. Okay, hold on. Cause this process was a bit weird for some reasons that I'll explain. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting things right in my head before I say them. So yeah, I did interview with their internal recruiter person, Marc being the awesome, wonderful person that he is. Also, like, beforehand, even like jumped in a Discord call with me and basically just ran me through what exactly the position would be and all the sort of things I would do and how to generally do them. He didn't like give me like a training course, but he gave me a crash course, which I really appreciate because I hate going into things blind. I like to have information beforehand so I can prepare. I don't, at least I think so. I don't handle impromptu change, stuff like that, well at all. I just don't handle it well, I think. But yeah, interview went well, surprisingly. Because I consider myself to be maybe the worst interviewer in the world. And my track record of having no luck getting a full-time job for like a year, I think speaks to that. And I just don't know. Like, I talk like a dumb person, I think. And my brain goes fast, but my mouth doesn't go fast enough sometimes. And I sound stupid when I talk, and I have to, like, I don't know. I can't do words good in interview situations. And I come across much, like, dumber and much more unqualified for things than I actually am. Which isn't great. Not a great thing to come across as. First impressions are fairly important, but this time was fine, I guess. So I'm gonna credit that entirely to Marc for probably talking me up more than I deserved to be. So yeah, interview went well. I've said that like 5 times now. Yeah. And offer letter for the position, sign it, send it back, and then they're like, so we're gonna put your hire on hold. And I was like, okay, did I do something, or is it something on their end? What's going on? What happened? My hire got put on hold for like a few more months due to stuff that was happening internally within the company. A lot of changes were being made. It's a fairly small company, and as I have learned, a lot of very snap changes happen at the company without a lot of warning. Fast forward, at this point, we're in like October, November, I get contacted again, and you're like, so that position that you literally signed the contract for and were accepted to work as, not anymore. You're going to a different position now. So I had to interview again. This time it was 2 interviews for some reason. I don't know. Maybe my first interview was worse this time. But interviewed with the internal recruiter and then interviewed also with the VP. This time actually got brought on in the new position. I think my start date was like December 5th of 2022. So I had a job. Yay. And you'll also notice that, okay, well, for a while now, videos tend to be pretty slow. But at that point, videos got really, really slow. Like, non-existent slow. So that's part of my explanation for that. Because also, December, winter, wrestling season. So I've got a new job. I have wrestling coaching that I'm doing. That's a lot of my time just gone immediately. So there just wasn't, I just had no time and no energy to make videos, even if I wanted to. It just wasn't gonna happen. Hence why Pokemon Madness was one video of what should have been 10. The other, I haven't even recorded all of them. Yeah, dude. I've recorded like 6 of the 10 that I need to make, and the second one is like 70% edited, and it has just been sitting there collecting dust for 5 months. But they'll get out eventually. You know how it works. It'll happen at some point. But that was a tangent. Let's get back on topic with the job. So, got a job. Things are going okay. When I joined was like right as a big change was happening, and Marc was the one also spearheading that change and was kind of the reason that my position even existed in the first place. Because what I will say is at this company, I filled a very unique role. Literally was the only person in this role, and it wasn't like a high up role. So it's not like a director or anything like that level role. It's like a low level role, but I'm the only person in it still, which is kind of weird and a little ominous and scary and unpredictable, but Marc reassured me multiple times that he was like, hey, I got your back. I will defend you and the position at all times whenever needed. So I was like, okay, I trust you for sure to keep my position safe. And I wasn't the first person to have this role. There was one person prior to me who left, like, she was there for like a few months and then left for the exact reason that she was like, this role seems like the permanency of it is a little iffy. And she was like, I don't know if I trust that this position will remain. So she bounced and then I jumped in. But there were a lot of changes happening at the company. Marc was spearheading a lot of them, like very big changes. Like the entire like system that we used was changing. So it would put me in a weird spot where I had to like half learn the old system and then learn the new system 2 weeks later with everybody else, which was strange. We got there. We made it work. I can be a quick learner if need be. Fast forward to the new year, and at this point, so one thing I will say, I'll vaguely describe part of the company structure. In our department, it was split into like 3 teams that would interface with our clients, and each team would be responsible for like a set of clients sort of thing. At the start, I worked only with one team, but as time went on, since I was the only person in that position, both Marc, who at this point was like my direct sort of report, my I don't know if that's the right term for it, but that's, you understand what I mean. Or I guess one of my direct reports, because I also reported to the team head. Quickly, my role expanded. So within like 2 months, I think I was now working across all 3 teams with all of their clients, which I think was important and like something I at least thought was important, because like my position allowed a way of interfacing and reaching people that was more or less unique. So it made sense for me to work with all 3 of the teams so they would all benefit from what I was able to offer in my position. And at this point, things were going pretty smoothly, at least I felt. So there was a lot of sort of growth stress on my end because my role was expanded fairly quickly. Okay, one thing I will say about my position is it involved like sort of like account management stuff that wasn't like the necessarily primary thing of it, but that was a lot. As my role went on and the position expanded, it became a lot of my time was like managing / micromanaging a bunch of different accounts. For the most part, I adapted well. I always feel like I adapt very slowly to things, but our director did say otherwise during one of our quarterly like review things. Because I specifically said in it, I was like, there was a lot of changes happening with my role and it expanding. And it was also like a newish role, like I mentioned. So there was a lot of trial and error going on with the role. But the director, she was like, no, I think you're doing well. I think you adapt pretty quickly, given all the changes that you were dealing with. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm just too self-critical. Yeah, I am. I know that. But it made me think for a second. I was like, oh, maybe I'm better than I thought I was. Which was nice. And she was also another person that like I knew like had my back, which was nice to know. Things continue pretty fine. And then fast forward, oh gosh, I don't even remember when this would have been. This is like late spring, early summer, somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly when. Some stuff that happened. Some people got fired. Marc's position was changed to something else. But a side effect of that was he was no longer one of my direct reports. And he didn't quite carry the level of authority that he had in his prior position. So when that happened, that was the first sign of impending things to come, I think, because either shortly before or shortly after that, the vice president also resigned. He was a good counterbalance to our president/CEO, I think. So him leaving started a dangerous snowball of unfortunate events. Sometime, I think early June, another experiment was done with my position where when I say I manage accounts of colleagues, if that makes sense. So like colleagues on the different teams. So I've got like accounts from all the different teams at this point. And they did an experiment where I went back to working only with one team, but I kept all the accounts. So I was using accounts of people from the other teams for clients from only one team, which was very, very weird. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me why that's something that anybody wanted to try. I don't know whose idea it was exactly. I don't think it was Marc's idea. If it was your idea, Marc, sorry. It was not a good idea, though. I don't think it was a good idea. But, I mean, we found out it didn't really make any difference. And then I ended up getting back to working with 3 teams. Kind of weaseled my way back into it, which I think was much better. But that was a weird, random change that I don't know why exactly it happened. But then fast forward even more, I guess one thing I will mention is that this company was very keen on metrics, specifically like performance metrics for the employees. So very much like hit your numbers sort of thing, which at this point was something I was mostly able to do. I was noticing that it was becoming increasingly more difficult to do. Like my numbers were definitely lower than they had been, and like there wasn't really any particular reason within my control for that. So like I obviously made as many changes as I could on my end to try to fix it. So I guess fast forward to July. July is apparently like historically like a bad month for our company. Numbers always dip, which was the case this year as well. Numbers dipped for everybody, and it's when mine, I felt like, started to take a really big dip. And I was hoping that they'd start to bounce back, and they just kind of like, they bounced back a little, but I just couldn't hit the numbers that I was hitting before. It just wasn't happening, no matter what I tried to do or what I changed or anything like that. And I don't know, I'll talk about some other sort of vaguely talk about other things after I conclude our tale, because there are things I want to say about my position and how my position was treated. But at this point, it's August. We had like a team meeting and the CEO was there and he was talking about numbers as per usual. And like, he should know July's historically a bad month, but he pulls up July stats and is like, "What are you doing? Come on, team, this isn't us." And I'm like, brother, you know that it's always a bad month. So why are you bringing up these numbers to talk to us about? And he also just sets, like, in my eyes, crazy goals for our department that, like, just aren't very attainable, I think. Fast forward some more, we go through August. Things still are sort of rocky, and then we get to September. And September, wake me up when September ends, dude. September did end. It's October 1st right now. September 5th, we had another all hands meeting, and the CEO was there again. And in this meeting, he made a lot of changes to team structure and workflow that I don't know who was given like prior warning on, but I think a lot of us were just not given prior warning on it. And they were like major changes, like significantly affected our ability to perform as a department kind of changes, like cutting our, I don't know what to call them and keep it vague, cutting our, this is weird because they're people, but I'm going to call them this, cutting our like available resources like significantly. Sorry to those people, you're more than resources, but I don't want to go into more detail that would disclose information about what kind of company this was. So you are resources for the purpose of this story, but like the changes were like very significant and had like entire department like detrimental effects. What really, okay, there were a few things that particularly annoyed me about how he went about these changes. For one, he just dropped them on at least like most of us, I think, without any sort of warning that changes like these were happening. I will speak from my perspective because I don't know the other people's perspectives, of course. But from my perspective, I knew about literally none of it until it was said. And they were changes that like really, really affected my position and my work. And he didn't give like, he said the changes and he was like, oh, also your performance metrics, they should still be the same, even though I've like slashed your resources by 70%. You should still get the same numbers, which is insane. And he also just didn't provide like any sort of plan that I was aware of for like moving forward. And this is something that was a constant issue with my position in particular, is I was left to my own devices for like the majority of the time. I didn't, because Marc at one point oversaw my position. Then he didn't anymore. And I mean, I had like people I reported to, but none of them understood my position. Marc was like really the only one who did, to the level that I needed someone to understand my position. So losing him as the person that I can like go to, well, I didn't like lose him in that regard, but he had other responsibilities and I didn't want to take away from those responsibilities that he had. So I would reach out if and when necessary. But if it was something that I knew I could figure out, but I would just need time, I wouldn't bother him with it. There was like a lot of stuff where I just couldn't reach out to other people because they just don't have the necessary information and understanding of my position and the things I use in my position and how those things work to help me, which was just a constant thing. And very annoying and stressful. But yeah, the changes like were really, really bad for me. Like I had to like, as soon as he made the changes, because I worked remote, so like I was just in a Zoom call. So I I've got two monitors. So on my other monitor, as soon as he said the changes, I was like, oh. And so I was like, okay. I need to stop all of these things, like, immediately, because these changes make it so half of what I would be doing would be stuff that I shouldn't do anymore, apparently. So it was like, stop this. And then, like, that whole week was a mess for, like, everybody. But it was, again, I'll speak from my perspective because that's what I know best. It was a heck of a mess for me. And, like, even going past that week that the changes were announced and put into place. And also, the changes were immediately put into place as well. It was like, this is happening starting now. From the utterance, as soon as these changes are uttered by me, Mr. CEO, they are law. And you will follow them. I don't know why that's the approach you would take. Like, we aren't machines. We're people. We need time to adjust. And again, given that my position didn't really have any direct oversight or guidance as far as, like, strategies and stuff like that, it was up to me to figure out how to adapt to the changes, like, as soon as possible, which the changes brought on, like, an absurd level of micromanagement that I had to do with the accounts, which was a result of both of the major changes that happened, one being the one that cut our resources significantly, and the other being the restructuring of the teams. Both like had a direct effect on what I did. So I had to re-strategize, like, everything. I had to move things around between accounts, and just I had to do, like, so much extra micromanagement just because I didn't have the ability to, well, you know, our resources are people. So I didn't have the ability to reach as many people as I once could in my position due to that one change that just restricted us so heavily. And so, like, and there were also I used, like, a very particular software for my position, and I had started to notice that just things across the board were just slower with the software. Because it allowed me to do some parts of my job automatically at the cost of additional management and micromanagement stuff that I had to do to, like, maintain things, which is a fair trade. What was the point I was making? Holy cow. What was the point I was making? Oh, the changes with the software. Yeah. So, like, there was just, things were just, I wasn't able to reach as many people as I used to be able to through the software. And I just couldn't figure out why, because I hadn't changed anything on my end. So I shouldn't have expected to, like, have lower results. And, like, I don't know, because I was never told anything, like, about any particular changes that happened, but I did notice that a certain functionality that used to, at least, be in the software, I didn't see it anymore, and I think it might have been, like, removed, and I attribute that, like, to a large extent to why things were just slower on the software. What can I do about that? I can't put it back in. They took it out. It's not like it's not our company's software. It's a third-party service. But yeah, basically I was just in a not great spot. Things are just rough. Real rough for everybody. Myself very much included, trying to adjust to these changes, get everything in order, while also at the same time we're still taking on new clients, we're still working with the other clients and dealing with all these internal things. And then fast forward 2 weeks and our director resigns, who now that was okay. So the changes, I was like, this is very ominous. When the changes happened, I was like, I see like not great things in the future. And then when the director resigned 2 weeks later, I was like, oh, things are gonna get real bad. Things are gonna get really, really bad, really, really quick. And things did. The CEO stepped in to fill the director role, and we fast forward one more week. That puts us at this past Friday, September 29th. It is 8 p.m. Eastern time. I hadn't even finished working for the day, because a lot of the times I would work late because like I was struggling so much to hit my numbers. I was like, I mean, numbers are make or break in this company. Because that's the mindset that the CEO has, is hit your numbers or else your position is in jeopardy. So I'm still working at this point because I'm working late, trying to hit my numbers. It's been a really bad week. I had a good start to the week, but then the rest of the week was just slow, and there was a lot of things happening. Like one of my accounts I lost access to, which put me in a weird spot, and I had to move things to another account so I could still get in contact with the people I was trying to. It was a messy week, as all the weeks of September had been. And I get a call at, I think, a bit after 8 p.m. Eastern. It's from the CEO. Hey, Jacob. So, we've been making a ton of changes here at the company, and unfortunately, something that is coming with all those changes is we're going to have to make some layoffs. And unfortunately, I hate this part of my job, but we're going to have to let you go. I was like, okay. I don't know what you want me to say. Thanks, I guess. So yeah, less than a year later, I am once again out of a job. And like, things could have been so much different. And I talked with Marc about this too. I wasn't the only one laid off. Apparently there were multiple other people who also were laid off, and they're planning to do some like internal merge of departments or something, maybe. I don't know. And like, so soon, there's just a lot of things that I was like, this just feels like something isn't right. Because to make those changes so quickly and then expect the same level of results and give us, it was like, what, 4 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks. So 3 weeks later, after a huge change, he's like, listen, you're gonna have to go. And hey, also, during this whole time, I was still the only one to ever be in my position. They never hired anybody else to assist me in this position. I was never given adequate resources to succeed in my position, which Marc also agrees with. It was just like, there were just so many things where I was just kind of, if they just gave me some of the help and resources that I would have needed. And it's not like I didn't ask for these things. I did ask for like a good few. I said multiple times, I was like, man, it would be great if we could get some more people in this position. And because the grand vision when I was first hired was for me to eventually become like a manager / oversight person for other people in the position, which I was like, cool, that seems like a reasonable sort of trajectory. And I can see that being something that happens as the company expands, which apparently no longer expanding, given that we're letting people go like en masse. But like, yeah, I asked, like, there's certain like things within the software service thing that I primarily used that could have alleviated some of the micromanagey busy work stuff that I had to do, but nobody ever like allowed it to happen. So I had to just do the micromanagey busy work the entire time still. And if I was just given those things, things could have been so much different. Butterfly effect, you know? The vision could have become a reality, but instead they just didn't give me any of the stuff that I would have needed for this position to succeed. And as a result, the position didn't succeed. I don't know, what do you expect if you don't adequately give me what I would require? So like, in hindsight, given the knowledge now that they did not assist me in the ways I needed, the position was doomed to fail from the start. And the person prior to me was in fact correct. And I think it's just a culmination of a lot of things. Marc's position changing is probably a big part of that, because I lost a lot of the like protection my position had. The VP resigning lost a lot of the protection my position had. The director resigning, there was nothing left. My position had no defense from anybody whatsoever, especially given my inability to produce the numbers that I had been able to prior, due to a lot of changes out of my control to an extent. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm gone now. And it is, on one hand, a relief, because especially like the past like few weeks and months, the position's been a nightmare for me. It's been just super, super stressful. I've worked late the majority of nights. I would do work on weekend. I wasn't salaried either. I was paid hourly. So like, and I would do that work off the record, because I was like, I literally don't have the time in a 40-hour work week to do everything I need to do for this position, and I still can't hit my numbers. And if that isn't like a sign that something is wrong, and I don't know what is. I was just kind of left on my own to figure things out, and I couldn't figure things out, apparently. So that's that. So I think that concludes that arc of things. Now I got no job again. So that means a few things, right? That means gotta try and find one. I do not want to go back into the industry that this job was in, like, at all. Because it's I don't want to get too much into it, but it's just not an industry. It's very like counter to my principles and morals to an extent. Not specifically like in my role, because I was able to avoid a lot of that with the approach I took. And this isn't a slight on Marc at all, because he was similar to me, where he did everything he possibly could to avoid the sort of slimy parts of the industry. I guess I'll also add this. Marc also no longer works for the company, and also has no intentions of going anywhere near the industry that this company was in ever again. So where we are on the same page. But yeah, one thing that's nice, other than what I mentioned about just being out of the nightmare that was this job, I got more time to like make videos for at least a little bit. So that's good, because I one thing that sucked, on top of everything else I talked about, is that I just had no time to make videos. Like, it just wasn't something, I didn't have the energy to record, because even in the little bits where I may have had time to record, it would have been garbage, because I just wasn't in any sort of state of mind to record something that I thought could be fun or good or entertaining. So I just didn't. And I just didn't have the energy a lot of the time to do editing. I did it as and when I could, but yeah, now I'll be able to again, which is nice. It's gonna take me a little bit of time to get back used to it. So yeah, that'll be nice, at least, because I have really missed making videos. There's a reason that I still make videos after, oh my goodness, I don't like to think about it, 8 years? Going on 9? That's crazy to think about. I'm an old man now. And also Ghosty, I'll have time to write you back, which is something I've needed to do on, like, in multiple facets for months and months. I hope you can understand why I wasn't able to, but now I should be able to. I'm still probably gonna be slow, because I'm always slow. You know that at this point. But it should be quicker than it would have otherwise been. Now that that's out of the way, we're gonna do something weird, because I did try to record this video before. We're gonna jump to the rest of that other video, in which I talk about the rest of these other topics, because those are fine. I can talk about whatever with those topics. It was the job one that I was like, maybe I should be more vague. Which is why we're here. But yeah, so see you past me. We'll see you in 3, 2, 1. So, something that happened this summer that was like, I don't know how I don't know what to say. It's a happy thing. It's a very happy thing. Very good friend Josh, just Jershin, you've probably heard his name mentioned once or twice. He got married this summer to the beautiful, wonderful Maria, and I was able to attend, which, obviously, first of all, thank you to them for inviting me. It meant, like, a lot to be invited. Both of them are online friends. Never had met either of them in person ever before. We'd been online friends for, oh gosh, Josh and I for almost over, maybe 7 years. Maria about 4 or 5, but like a long time. A significant, like, portion of my existence on this ethereal plane. Getting to meet them face to face, it was just, I don't know what word to say. It was great. It was perfect. And for that to also be their wedding, perfect. I don't know. It was just like a very, I don't know. It all felt like super surreal. Super surreal. And Reece, Yeti, another long time friend, flew from the UK to attend the wedding. So I got to meet him in person for the first time. And he had gone to visit them the summer prior. So it wasn't his first time meeting everyone in person. But it was the first time our whole little cabal met in person. It was just, I don't know. It was a magical sort of time. The wedding was beautiful. It was amazing. It was just such a fun time. I wish I could have stayed longer than I did. I flew in, and it was also my first time ever flying. Flew in Friday. Wedding was Saturday. Stayed until early Tuesday morning is when I flew out. So wasn't there for super long, but I mean it was amazing regardless. And it was so great to finally meet Paul and Spink and Josh and Maria and Reece. It was just like a surreal experience. It felt like it wasn't actually happening for like the entire time that I was there. And it just never like set in until I was sitting waiting to fly back. I was like, I'm really gonna miss this, dude. It was just great. And I believe the plan kind of is, it's not like a set in stone plan, it's very just loosey-goosey sort of thing, at least on my end, especially now, is to try and have a little group meetup in St. Louis, like every summer, if circumstances allow for it. With what just happened, for me, that might be a little iffy again, on the financial side of things, but we'll see. But yeah, a belated congratulations to Josh and Maria. I'm so happy I was able to attend and be a part of like such a significant moment in your lives together, and it just means so much that you wanted me to be a part of it. And now for another pivot, still happy though. Still a happy thing. I have been overdue for a certain upgrade for a long time. I would say at least like 2 years. That upgrade being a new computer. And I'm happy to say the upgrade has been acquired. It was, I don't even remember when I got the new computer. It was like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. I don't know exactly what. Time is just a flat circle or something. But yeah, got a new computer, which so overdue. My previous one was a generation old when I bought it in 2015. It's an Alienware X51 R2. It's this bad boy. What I quickly learned after purchasing it is that it is not upgradable in the slightest. Mini ATX form factor to it, or whatever it's called. I don't know if that's what it's actually called. But it's like a small boy. It's a small boy. Small boy form factor. Oh, that seems a little yuck. It just reminded me of that stupid Taylor on TikTok, always talking about the young insert ethnicity here boys that he's giving his fit to. Uncomfy. But yeah, that was it. It had, okay, for all my spec lords out there, I'll go over some specs it had. It had an i7 4770, and for context, the current generation is, I believe, 13s. So literally 9 generations between. GTX 960 with 2 gigabytes of I don't even know what GDDR it would have been. Like GDDR4 VRAM, which is not a lot and very old. 16 gigabytes of DDR3 generic memory, a hard drive, and like just no upgradability because it had a motherboard and a daughter board. So like, good luck figuring something out with that. Just a nightmare of a purchase that I do regret. I should have gone with something else, but I was young and naive and dumb, so I'm going to blame that for my poor purchase. Now, we got something a little nicer. We got something pretty nice. We have a... It's not a pre-built. It is a... What are those stupid services called that like do this stuff? It's not like pre-built, but they like, if you're familiar with the company NZXT is what I used to create my system. System integrator, I believe, is what they're called. System integrator. I think system integrators are like very nice because it's like the hybrid between a pre-built and like buying the parts and building it on your own, because you don't have to build it on your own. They will build it for you, but you also get to select the parts. So it's, in my opinion, the best of both worlds because I don't have to do anything other than pay them money. So yeah, I have a new computer now and it is very nice. I can play games on not the lowest settings now. Video quality will improve. I can record at higher bit rates. I can record at 2K 60 FPS with literally no issues that I have seen so far. Editing will be smoother. I won't have to worry as much about like crashes because I have modern hardware that is capable of handling modern software, and it also just is faster. Like I rendered out, what did I render out? I rendered out the freaking the Spotify Wrapped that was like almost a year late. And it was like a 20 whatever minute video and it rendered in like 4 minutes, and I was like, good freaking lord. On my old computer, that would have taken 40 minutes to render. This is insane. I've been living in the Stone Age for 7 years. So yeah, that's like, I'm very happy with the purchase I made. It's bigger, but who cares? That's to be expected. I had a little tiny, like I said, I have baby boy form factor. Little tiny baby boy form factor. Now I got like a normal form factor that is upgradable if need be. I don't foresee it needing an upgrade anytime soon because I did like kind of future-proof my purchases to an extent. Like I've got 32 gigs of DDR5 memory, which is like a lot of memory, the standard is still like, I think 16 for most systems. So I was like, bump that up. I'm going to use this for editing. That'll be nice to have. And DDR5 is like absurdly fast compared to DDR4, so may as well get that. Get a motherboard that's compatible with DDR5. Give me an i7. Get me some NVMe storage. Get me a power supply that's a bit above what would be recommended for what I'm getting, in case I upgrade something in the future that draws more power. Get me not like the high end graphics card, but it's a 4070 Ti, which I looked at the 4080 price and I was like, no, thank you, brother. That's $600 more for like not enough performance increase for me to give you $600. And like, I think this 4070 Ti is just an ideal choice for this current generation, if you're not going top of the line, because 4070 was like decent performance, and then the 4070 Ti was like a sizable jump from the 4070, and from the Ti to the 80 was not a super big jump, especially considering the price difference. And like the price difference between the 70 and the Ti was like not much. It was like $200 or something, which in the grand scheme of a PC purchase isn't a massive deal. And the performance I would get from that extra $200, in my opinion, was worth it. So yeah, I'm happy with that for sure. I also, if this doesn't tell you how badly I needed an upgrade, okay, there's a few things that would tell you how badly I needed an upgrade. For one, old computer started blue screening, and I was like, yikes, oh yikes. That can't be happening, because I need to have a computer for work and for like a lot of things. Like, given that my entire group of friends is online, that would be something I would like to have, as a computer to continue to interact with my friends in an ideal way. But also, oh gosh, there were a lot of things that were happening that I was like, this is bad, but it's not bad enough that I'm going to buy a new computer yet. It would sometimes take upwards of 10 attempts of trying to turn on my computer for it to actually boot into Windows. It would like boot lock on the, and I not boot lock, not even like boot loop. It would just get stuck on the BIOS. I had to use the legacy BIOS because I don't even want to call it modern, because it wasn't modern, but the non-legacy version of the BIOS it had a 100% failure rate for me. It would not boot into Windows. The legacy one would boot into Windows anywhere from like 80 to 20% of the time, which is better than 0. So it was what I had to use. And there were just like other weird things. Like, my computer literally did not have the power to have, because like Windows has the option to like have like rotating wallpapers. Like, you can just say, hey, everything in this folder, just shuffle. My computer literally couldn't handle it. It would cause stutters and freezing. If I had it running when I was recording, I would literally just drop frames on my recordings, like significant frames. So I just couldn't do that. And I was like, that sucks. That's not fun. And all my friends have Wallpaper Engine, and I couldn't do anything with Wallpaper Engine because it would probably crash my PC if I did. Guess what? Look at me now. I got Wallpaper Engine going. I actively recording with 0 dropped frames. I'm using 0.2% of my CPU currently, recording at 2K, 60 FPS. Despite my webcam not supporting that. Either of those. But I'm doing it anyway. To stick it to the man being my storage space. I can play games without lag. It's just amazing. It's actually like a new world. My eyes have been opened to what it's like to not suffer with a trash garbage pre-built computer from 8 years ago. So yeah, that's my life update. I don't know what other new things have happened. I mean, those are the big things that happened. I got and subsequently lost my job. I went to a wedding of bestest friends in the world, and I got a new computer. That's about, yeah, I guess we can touch on this. What are my plans moving forward? Plan 1 is find a job. That seems like an important thing to do. What kind of job? Beats me, dude. I have a degree in computer science. Hasn't really gotten me much of anywhere in computer science so far, but also the looming shadow of AI stealing all the programming jobs is like kind of real, I think. So that's a little scary. I would love to find a job in editing. That would be cool. Like as like a YouTube editor for somebody or something. But like I don't know how to do that. How do you do that? We got wrestling season coming up. Oh brother, I can go to the preseason practices. Oh baby. I'm actually excited for that because I haven't been to any of them since over the summer. And there's been a lot of changes that have happened on the wrestling side. Like a lot of changes, some of which were unexpected. There's a new high school head coach. Previously, my dad was the high school head coach. He stepped down as the high school boys head coach, was planning to just work as like, I don't know what the position or the title would have been, but he would have been like a coordinator, sort of overseer person for wrestling. But on the girls' high school side, we had like a head coach and an assistant coach. The assistant coach, very, very, very good wrestler, and also even better, I think, in jiu-jitsu. Like literally like national level jiu-jitsu athlete. She was someone, because she's just so insanely talented, that we knew we weren't going to be able to keep for long. So we were like, make the most of her when we have her available to us. She is now the head coach for a local college's girls wrestling team, because girls wrestling is like popping up all over the place now. It's so great to see. Officially sanctioned by the Ohio Athletic governing body for high school. Got sanctioned at the end of the season 2 years ago, and they had their first official postseason like sectional district state tournaments this past season, which amazing. And I'm so happy that the sport is growing on the girls and women's side of things, because it should grow, and I hope it continues to keep growing at the rate that it is, if not faster. So we lost her, and about a month ago, the girls' head coach for us also resigned and is going to be the assistant coach for who was previously her assistant coach. So we lost both of them to the same place, and they swapped roles, essentially, is what happened. Because of that, my dad has now stepped in as the sort of interim girls head coach, and we'll be doing that for this season at least. And then the new head coach on the boys' side is an alumnus of the high school. Very, very talented wrestler. Coached at multiple colleges with a lot of success. Had success in college. I think he was third at Division III Nationals, which is like impressive, extremely impressive. And I think was like a multiple time All-American. He's the new head coach. There's been a little bit of transitional issues that have had to be ironed out, and will probably need to continue to be ironed out just as he adjusts to this different role, because high school isn't the same as college. You can't necessarily treat it one-to-one, right? In college, it was just like he had his program and that's it. Now we've got like 4 programs between all our teams. We got boys high school, we got girls high school, we got middle school, we got youth. All of them need to have practices. All of them will have events. All of them have their own team schedules, and we only have so many coaches to go around. Right? So he's had to sort of be more flexible than he was used to having to be when coaching in college. I'm sure things will work themselves out as things continue and the season actually gets like rolling. So yeah, that's kind of where things are at. Yeah, I don't know how to end videos anymore, dude. I haven't recorded anything in literally 6.5 months. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you all sticking around despite my absence for insanely prolonged periods of time. I appreciate you sticking around this long in the video. Yeah, love you guys. You're awesome. Don't you forget it. Goodbye.